Good morning. This is Mima. On the last video, I shared with you about losing my husband of 54 years. And I had peace about him leaving because God gave me that supernatural peace. And God had answered that, so I was grateful. But I had prayed to him saying that I was afraid that I would be afraid to be alone. And I thought, well, I'll have to close up the blinds on the back of the house and then close the carport so that I wouldn't be afraid. But guess what? I had so much peace, I didn't even have to do that. And living in the country, we didn't even have a security light. I'd already figured a long time ago I wasn't going to light the way for somebody to burglarize my house while I was gone. But I guess it was probably about a month after Fred died. One night I'd gone to bed and I heard this awful noise. Sounded like somebody framming on my door. And it startled me awake, and I grabbed my bathrobe and had a can of, somebody told me that if I had wasp spray, it would shoot 20 feet and I could put somebody's eyes out with that. And I decided I'd trust that, but I wasn't trust a shotgun or a pistol because they could take that away from me and kill me. So I grabbed it, and I was down by the bathroom door when all of a sudden I thought, what are you doing? You're not going to go to the door. This is not any of your family. This is not any of your neighbors. Why would they be coming to you? And I thought, if it's somebody got car trouble, I can't help them. And if they want the police to come or somebody else, if they knock again, I will call the police and tell them that somebody's at my door. So I went back to bed, and I thought, they didn't knock again. And then I realized I'd come back to bed with my bathrobe on and my spray can in my hand. But I was so at peace, I went to sleep and I didn't even wake up. I had a great night's sleep. And the next morning, I went into the bathroom, and I was getting ready. And I happened to look down in the bathtub, and I had put one of those hand grip things that you could get in and out the tub with and it had lost the suction and fallen in the bathtub. So that was my culprit that was making all the noise the night before. So, and even though I had peace, and even though I wasn't afraid, my emotions were completely out of control. I had no control over my emotions. And I asked people to pray for me. But, I hadn't been single for 54 years. I didn't even know how to conduct myself. I didn't know how to act around people. And I didn't realize, as much as I've told you about the devil, like I've told you before, one of his tactics is to come to war against you. And if you don't know who he is, or you don't recognize him, or you don't even think about you're in the battle, guess who's going to win? So he won many skirmishes about that. And since that time, I have come to believe that, you would think that you could control your own emotions because they're your emotions, right? But I have found out you cannot control your emotions. You have to surrender your emotions to the Lordship of Jesus Christ and tell him, Lord, I can't handle this. I need you to help me. So when I did that, of course, I got the victory. And I wish I could have told you I got the victory in a week, but it didn't happen. But anyway, and like I told you, I had peace about Fred going. And I didn't do a lot of crying. But I got to tell you that one day I found myself thinking about, I don't have a routine. There's nothing routine about my life. I have nobody to cook for, nobody to clean for, nobody to wash clothes for. Nobody that cared where I went or what I did or how much money I spent. And I started crying. Now, isn't that a crazy thing to cry about, that you have no routine? But you don't even know how much you would miss just routine until you don't have it anymore. So during that time when I was going through such an emotional struggle, I remembered that James 4:8 tells us to draw near to God and that he will draw near to you. So as I remembered that verse, I knew that I needed God to draw near to me. So the only thing I knew to draw near to God was I went to Sunday school and church every Sunday morning. I went on Wednesday night. I went to a Thursday night Bible study. Somebody started a special group that met on Sunday night, and I went to that. And I continued with my Bible readings and my devotion books and prayer. And there was a little book that I got so much comfort from. It was a little devotion called God Calling. And so many times it seemed like just the thing that I needed to hear from God was in that book. So, but I stayed as busy as I could, and I met as many new friends. I met a lot of new friends. And I knew that I had to do something to make a new life for myself without Fred in it. And one time, it was shortly after Fred died, I went with a group from the church to the Charleston tea plantation where they grow tea. And it was very interesting, but I really didn't want to be there, but I knew that's what I needed to be doing for myself at the time. And then it wasn't probably a month after Fred died that I went to Woodman of the World Camp, which is a fraternal organization, because that's where we'd gone and we always had a lot of fun. And so I thought this would be good for me to get away, so I did that. Unfortunately, while we were there, one of the women that was a camper just like me, she had a heart attack and died in the dining room, and they had to resuscitate her. And it was a little difficult for me to handle after I had just lost Fred. But anyway, while we were down there, one of the camp director, I had told her earlier on, we had a lodge that was really nice. It was huge, and it had bedrooms and a bath, and it wasn't being used for anything except to dump people's old sofas and whatever else they didn't need. And I said, it's a shame that this lodge is not being used. So she said, well, what would you do? I said, well, I'd get rid of some of that junk that's in there and get something new. So she said, well, go for it. So she gave me the job, and I knew that this was God giving me something to do, so I did it. There was a place in Savannah that sold old used furniture that came out of motels, and it was in great shape. I mean, they didn't have spots on it or anything. So I had $1,000 to work with. You would not believe what I got for my $1,000. I got 3 sofas that's like in motels. I got end tables. I got coffee tables. I got 4 dining room tables that seat 4 people. And I got 12 chairs. And I got another thing. I actually got a bouquet and a pitcher. So, and then I myself went and bought some other stuff that I thought would go in there good to make it more comfortable. And I had bought a Mr. Coffee pot so we could have coffee. We had a microwave in there. And then one of the things I bought was a credenza like that, where we could store paper plates and, you know, sugar, coffee, whatever we wanted to bring with us. So it was cute as a bug's there. And so it was on a Friday before we were supposed to go on to Woodman of the World Camp that I still had my house up for sale. So somebody wanted to see the house, and they wanted to try Fred's Jeep that I had for sale. So I had Fred's keys, and I gave them the keys, and they went out, and I had to show them in the shop and the Jeep and all this. And after they left, I gathered up all my stuff and I got ready to go to Woodman. So we had a wonderful time, and then whenever I came back, this was 6 months after I had gone when the woman had died. So I went back down there, and we enjoyed it. Everybody saw what I had done, and they liked it and appreciated what I'd done. So, but when I got home, my refrigerator had leaked, and there was water all over my kitchen floor. And then I noticed that the light out underneath the carport was out. So I'm thinking, what in the world? And I found out that a breaker had gone off somehow. So I got the breaker put back on. I don't remember exactly what all happened, but I had some gentlemen from the church that came to put me a new light because it had blown when the breaker went off. And they needed something out of Fred's workshop. So I didn't have a key to Fred's workshop. He had one, and we had an extra one that we had put over the door to going into the workshop. But when he died, somebody went there and he got missing. I never did find that one. But I didn't have any keys to give to the men so that we could get out of Fred's shop what needed to be, because I couldn't find Fred's keys. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find those keys. I prayed, Lord, help me find Fred's keys. Lord, let the hidden things be revealed. You know, I'm looking for keys and I don't find no keys anywhere. So I thought, well, you know, just forget about praying like that. And so it wasn't long after that, though, that one of my younger friends, she was probably in her middle 30s, she came over to see me, and we were enjoying the day and just chit-chatting, and she was asking me what I was going to do for the future. And I said, well, everybody tells me not to do anything right after, you know, you lose your mate. And I said, it hasn't sold, and I don't really know what to do. And I bought a lot of new bedspreads and everything to go in my new house, because we planned to move, you know, in, what, less than 10 days. So I had all this stuff bought, but the colors didn't go with anything that I had. I said, you know, and I was 75 years old at the time, and I thought, well, you know, if I thought that I wouldn't fall, I mean, it's kind of stupid, even though I'm in good shape, to be here by myself and try to get up on a ladder and do all this. I said, but if I thought I could do it, I'd change out everything. I'd take down this wallpaper and repaint the walls. She said, I'll help you. And I said, yeah, that would be great. She said, no, I'll help you. I said, really? I said, well, how much would you charge me? She said, I'm not going to charge you anything. I said, well, you're not going to work for me for nothing, because this is going to be a job. So she was working part-time for this woman that, and I said, how much are you making with her? She said, $7.50 an hour, which was minimum wage at the time. I said, I'll pay you $7.50 an hour. So, honey, how blessed was I? I had somebody that could come to my house that helped me do a job that we had to do, but she was so much a comfort to me and so much a help to me. And she listened to me cry and talk about things that were troubling me, and we cried, and then she would tell me what was going on in her life. And so I hope that I listened to her as much as she listened to me. But anyway, it was great, and I had somebody to eat with and somebody to cook for. So it was a great time. And the beautiful part about it was nobody's got a better paint job than I had, and she never showed up drunk or drinking the whole time, and she came on time. That was better than most of the painters that we could get in where we lived back in the time. So about a year later, I invited some of my friends who had blessed me to go down to Woodman of the World with me for a weekend. And I thought we could go down there and enjoy the lodge. It was beautiful. It was an island all by ourselves, and they had all these gorgeous trees, and the marsh was there, and oh, it was awesome. And so we went down there, and of course there was my all fixed up where I'd done it, fixed up, and we got ready to go to bed that night, and I went and got Mr. Coffee Maker out, and I got the grounds and put in there, and I got the water, made sure the pot was clean, and I put the water in there. I said, now in the morning, whoever gets up first, just all you got to do is pour the water in the reservoir, and we'll have coffee. So one of my friends walked over to the back, to the coffee maker, and looked in the reservoir. She says, here's a set of keys. She said, I wonder why in the world anybody would put a set of keys in a coffee pot. I said, I don't know. Maybe they thought they were going to go in it down. There'd be a safe place to keep them. So we went on to bed, and before I went to sleep, but everybody else had gone to sleep, I thought, I wonder if that's Fred's keys that I put in that coffee pot. So, sure enough, in the next morning I got up, and there was Fred's keys that was in the reservoir of the coffee pot, and they were rusted, so somebody had made water in that reservoir with those keys in there. And it had been a year, and it was 90 miles away from home, but God answered my prayer. He let me find the keys, and He had let the hidden things be revealed. And so I'm thinking, maybe I should say, now, Lord, not a year from now. But anyway, but staying busy was really the best thing that I could have possibly done to help me through such an emotional time. I didn't have time to grieve or have pity parties, and I think I told you before, I figured out early on, nobody came to pity parties, and then when they didn't come, that even added fuel to my poor me attitude. So anyway, I just want to let you know that God does whatever it takes to bring you through if you just trust Him and do your part.
So listen, like,
Come in.
comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.